right now. You just get comfortable.
I'm vibing, bro.
It's all about the vibes, you see. So, okay, Mr. Eazy Anwar, who are you and what do you do, my guy?
You said my name.
I'm sorry. I got too excited.
All right, so my name is Ahmad Faiz bin Haji Anwar. Oof, sounds so Malay, doesn't it? All right, I'm widely known as Eazy Anwar.
Okay.
I compete MMA professionally. I compete combat sports, boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, grappling. I'm a full-time coach, business owner, dad, husband.
Superstar.
I wouldn't say superstar.
Sponsored athlete. Come on, my guy.
Pulling my leg.
Brother, how did this is something I've always wanted to ask you.
Sure.
How did the name Eazy come about? Because I know you've got a soft spot for the West Coast, soft spot for the rappers of the West Coast. Where did Eazy come from?
Actually, my dad gave me that name. No cap. Serious. Yeah.
Look at us being hip, trying to relate to the youngins.
You gotta reach out, right? You gotta reach out. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, he did. I think it was just the last two initials, E and Z, so he strung them together. So.
Oh, I
guess it just stuck from there. It started from high school. So.
Okay, and your dad called you that?
Yeah, still calls me that.
Your friends called you after that?
They just sort of followed suit. So,
dude,
it's easy to remember, hard to forget.
Hey! Oh my gosh! It's like you practiced that line before.
Used that one too many times. So.
What was her name?
Most dudes.
Oh man! So, brother, I've known you for a while now.
Long, man.
A long time. I've followed your career for a while. I've been a fan for a long time.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I know you as the MMA coach.
That MMA guy.
That MMA guy. I know you as a trainer. I know you used to do rugby, but what was the deal? What got you into fitness, man?
I mean, like growing up, like I was always into sports anyway. Back in primary school, I mean, where I went to school, like we had like sports every other day anyway. But I always grew up, heavy. So I was overweight, But it was only until I think I was 17, 18, I just had like weird pains, migraines, blah, 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 the whole package though. So I just decided to go to the clinic, right? So went to the clinic, they put on the ECG and everything. So they dropped a bomb lah. They said like, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, blah, blah, blah. And to point out the elephant in the room, you're obese,
Oh my gosh.
I guess they just didn't want to say it that way lah.
Yeah.
So
they are not well known for their bedside manner.
Yeah, of course. But
but to hear that.
Yeah, I think that was it was overnight wah. It wasn't something that I was thinking about, like, I want to get in shape. I want to change my diet. It wasn't something like I was thinking about. But my parents always told me off, like, you eat too much, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, you're the one that's feeding me,
If I don't eat this, you're going to be all like, hey,
yeah, exactly.
Don't like mommy's cooking.
Yeah, right? This is going to guilt trip you, ba. But nah, man, like it took that one trip to the clinic.
Yeah.
I mean,
how did that make you feel?
I guess it's normal, Joe, for us, like Bruneians, that you don't really want to go to the clinic because you're just too afraid to find out what's really happening, kan? I guess it goes with everything, lah.
That's like some deep things to unravel there, my guy. I felt like that was a double-edged sword. There was definitely a couple of meanings to that line. How did it feel finding that out at 17?
It was a rude awakening because macam you're a teenager, kan? I mean, you're just approaching adulthood lah, and then to have like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high sugar, and all that, and then always have to go all the way to Miri just to find clothes because they had like this one shop in Miri dulu. It's called Big Guys No Problem. Still remember that shop, bro?
That shop. It was in one of the malls. And
Imperial Mall.
And the mannequins were just
exactly right. We always have to go there and shop for clothes. So anyway, just to cut it back, I took that one trip to the clinic lah. And then it was overnight and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna, watch what I eat and I'm just gonna start working out. So it just started off with just hiking at Tasik back in the day.
Yeah.
But I was like, back then I was like a bit insecure, so I would go to Tasik like at 12 at noon and stuff.
When no one was there.
When no one was around. Because I didn't want people judging me. Kind of like climbing up the first hill so that like you're gassed out. So.
Did you always feel like that? Where like a little like judged or was it just then when after that trip, or what was the deal?
I would say that growing up is just that self-confidence wasn't there. It's because, growing up as an obese boy, like, of course you don't really have self-confidence. I mean, it's just not part and parcel of being obese lah.
It's so weird because I see you as you're like the hub, the social hub that everyone sort of gravitates towards, especially when I see you in the gym. I always see, everyone sort of crowding around you, everyone's asking you questions and stuff like that. Was it similar in high school, being that obese guy? Like because I was a chunky kid growing up. And being the chunky kid growing up, you needed to have different tricks and stuff.
Right,
to sort of fit
like
in the crowd.
Fit in, yeah. I guess it was like that back in school as well. You always had this thought behind at the back of your mind that, you don't want to be the odd one out because, you're the plus one in there, I mean, you're the plus size student there lah. Mm-hmm. So you sort of like try to make a bit of noise in that group just to sort of like get everybody to notice you lah. Konon.
How heavy did you get, if you don't mind me asking?
Bro, I was like 125 kilos, man.
No. Really?
For real.
My gosh, my guy, like
125 kilograms.
Wow.
Yeah, I was that big.
So what was
I couldn't wear leather shoes.
No.
Back in school, so that's why I had to wear sneakers.
Yeah. So that's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started. But nah, I couldn't wear leather shoes because the top of my foot, my instep was just big, just filled with meat.
Wow, that's so
and
crazy.
I'm a size 11 and a half US, so.
You know what they say.
Yeah, bigger socks.
Bigger socks, correct.
And expensive shoes.
Oh my gosh. I had no clue, man. I didn't know you were that heavy.
I was that big, bro.
But you said that every other day in school you guys were doing sports and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like that was in primary school. And then up in it, once I got to high school, sports wasn't really the priority. Growing up, going through adolescence.
Yeah.
Doing other things lah. Listening to Tupac and trying to live that Machiavelli life. I
really feel from just the style that I know you for, just the branding of your MMA gym, all that stuff. Is there a specific genre of music that has had an impact?
If it's my class, it's hip hop all the way. So
yeah.
So I mean,
what was it about them? What was it about? Because I have a soft spot for hip hop. I felt I had a lot of dark days in my teenhood and into my young adult life, and I feel hip hop was my escape. What was it for you?
Same. Hip hop was my escape as well because, I mean, we're not talking about hip hop nowadays, No. We're not talking about mumble rap. We're talking about those grimy rhymes, If you really listen to it, these guys are super intellectual. They could come up with their whole life story in 32 bars. Mm-hmm. The whole life story.
Yeah.
And then the way they string together sentences and their, what you call this? Their, the way they articulate things. It's so, I would say it's beautifully put lah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Was there a specific, rapper that you gravitated towards?
I've always liked Nas. I mean, if you listen
more lyrical.
Every album, even his albums now, KD 1, 2, and 3. Ooh.
Look at that drop, my guy.
KD 1, 2, and 3. I mean, I mean, he's obviously aged in the game, so he's talked about how he's, like in one of the verses that he dropped for Khaled's song, the one with Jay-Z, he said like he's doing like Bitcoin now, and then like by the time you hear this, like I've already sold this much and that much. It's just, he even said this one verse where he said, I think it was from the I Am album, he said he went from Seiko to Rolex. And that's like,
wow,
that is a goal.
That's something you and I are going to talk about, because
so that was a goal. When I first heard that back in the day, I was like, yeah. I mean, it shows you that everybody starts somewhere.
So that's one of the reasons why I gravitated towards hip hop. I feel, coming from a broken family, trying to look out for their moms, trying to be the man in the house, trying to support the family. These were all themes that I felt I could relate to. They were rapping about things that I feel like, wow, I feel the same way, Jay-Z. I don't know if you know it, but we are best friends right now. We are basically brothers that got separated at birth. Was that how sort of, rappers like Nas and stuff made you feel as well?
I mean, like when you listen to their stories, it's like, it really shows struggle. It really shows perseverance. It really shows that much, like if you just, hang on to what you believe in, you'll get somewhere. And they're like living proof of that. You know what I mean?
I wasn't the popular kid in high school. So listening to rappers like that, rapping about things that were so similar to my life, kind of made me feel like I was part of a group.
You were not alone. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Did you ever feel like that?
For me, it was more of like, it's just going through struggles day to day, I mean, like most of these rappers, like especially in the States, they're being in the colored community, they're always sidelined lah. So it's about making their presence known and then being respected for their craft ba.
And it's crazy. These are all things, as you're describing these guys, they're the same way I would describe you in our community. I guess
it's sort of like entrenched in that way.
Yeah.
So I guess when people want to question, why you want to listen to hip hop so much, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it goes deep.
Yeah.
It's deeply rooted, I would say,
So let's shift gears a little bit. You had that scare at the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
Overnight, you decided, I want to start working out at Tasik at noon. What happened after that?
Macam, it was just, Tasik, hit the gym. Like back then, you didn't really have much options lah. I didn't really want to play football.
Okay.
Sorry, football fans out there. I just didn't really like how dramatic it is.
Mm-hmm.
When people want to contest against the referee and all that, blah, 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 blah. Diving in the penalty box and all that. Leave the diving to swimming but all right, I apologize. Sorry.
No, you don't. I apologize for nothing.
No, but then not long after that, we found rugby. So
when you say we, who are you talking about?
My friends and I, we found rugby, and then they were just forming a team, and then the Bruneian league was just starting, and then it was a brotherhood from there lah. So I felt like with rugby, weight was an advantage.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, I told myself I guess I could fit in. So I tried, and then I guess it was love from there lah. It was just the impact.
And it goes against, I feel with rugby as a sport, it goes against all the things that you weren't a fan of in football.
Exactly.
There was definitely no space for diving.
That helped, like this one's really a gentleman's game lah. Like when the referee makes a call, you respect it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's basically American football without pads.
Without pads lah.
Yeah.
So we played for the team and then grew from there. Like for me, I'm the type of guy, like if I get into something, like I want to be really good at it.
Yeah.
Because I want to dispense all my energy into it, and I don't want to leave any stones unturned. And then like one day if I leave that sport or I leave whatever I got into, I don't want to say, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. I wish I had done more, you know? So for me, like every session, I'll make it count lah.
Yeah.
So I guess with that sort of mentality, it got me to where I got to in rugby lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from rugby, how did you find MMA? Or was that something that you were always into?
Well, when we're training rugby, so like off-season training was just like a lot of boxing. And then some of our teammates were ex-national boxers.
Okay,
yeah.
so there was already a community then.
Yeah, there was already like a good pool of athletes lah. Because they were just pulling people from whoever had like sports experience or whoever was in like action sports. Atulah, they would just pull them into the rugby team. So we had like a few teammates that boxed. So off-season training was just a lot of boxing, and then at the same time frame,
what months were off season? Or like how many months of a time would be off season in a year?
I think 2-3 months like
Okay.
that. Yeah, and then
the rugby league in Brunei is pretty extensive.
It's not that extensive, but after the local league, there'll be like national games and then regional tournaments and stuff like that. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like, there was this teacher from CFBT, obviously. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, he came to Brunei, got a job offer as a teacher, but he came here as a blue belt lah. So, yeah. So, of course, like, coming here, like, he was out of practice, like, no one to roll with. And then, like, back then, Jiu-Jitsu in Brunei was a bit unknown.
Okay.
Yeah, no one knew what it was.
Because I feel Jiu-Jitsu is one of those sports that you don't really know about it unless you're deep into MMA.
Yeah, watching UFC 1, 2, 3.
All that stuff, or like in my case, it was Gracie's doing UFC breakdowns and stuff like that.
It was selling the fact that the smaller opponent can overpower someone stronger and bigger lah.
Is that something you believe in with Jiu-Jitsu?
I believed it. I believed it back then. I guess it's just the change of the tide nowadays lah. Back then, of course, it would work.
Yeah.
It would work against someone who doesn't know Jiu-Jitsu.
For sure.
But if you want to take that context into the Jiu-Jitsu tournament, of course, you're up against someone who's practicing Jiu-Jitsu as well. Of course, your strength, your stamina, your IQ, everything sort of merges together to be a better athlete lah.
If you had to break down Jiu-Jitsu for some of our listeners out there, because they're like, fucking Jiu-Jitsu, and you know what I mean? I'm sure there's going to be one or two.
The art of strangling.
I like to call it aggressive cuddling.
Cuddling and make them tap.
That's probably my most favorite description of what Jiu-Jitsu is. Also, I gravitate towards Jiu-Jitsu because I wanted to do a combat sport where I didn't necessarily have to get hit in the face.
Yes. Yeah, but that's the beautiful part about Jiu-Jitsu, you see. I mean, in most standards, like after a class, you get to spar with each other. So in Jiu-Jitsu, like Joe Rogan put this line together, every inch perfect lah. So Joe Rogan said like, Jiu-Jitsu is just one of those sports where you could go 110% trying to kill each other, trying to strangle each other, trying to break each other's arm. But once your partner taps, you respectfully let it go. So it builds a trust between like you and me. Like if we rolled, like if we sparred, like you would trust me to let go of that choke if you had tapped, right? So it sort of builds a trust amongst that little community. So that's why the Jiu-Jitsu community is the way it is. It's formed around trust.
Okay.
Yeah. So
from a teacher from CFBT. This is
so random, dude. This is so random.
I was gonna say
he's a Kiwi teacher for CFBT.
What was his name?
David.
Okay.
He was teaching at Sekolah Menengah Mentiri, man. Wow. It's so random, dude. It's so random. But that's Brunei, right? Like kingdom of unexpected treasures.
Hey, Brunei tourism, listen up.
So yeah, man. So he had like a set of mats. So if I could recall correctly, it was every Tuesday and Thursday, malam saja.
Okay.
So he would like open up the mats and then teach a small group of people lah.
So Faz was first to go.
Faz was there, and then a couple of friends. I tried it out. I mean, it was natural to me because of rugby.
Oh,
so
how so?
The contact sports in rugby, like when you get into a ruck and you're just trying to move bodies around.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like trying to nudge each other, so to say. So the contact in jiu-jitsu and rugby sort of made the transition easier lah. It wasn't unnatural ba.
I can understand why it's unnatural for some people to join, because when I first joined jiu-jitsu, you know, I've got my legs wrapped around another guy who I just met, and I'm like, do I make eye contact with you?
Two things, bro. Two things. No eye contact and never fix your belt inside someone's closed guard. This is weird.
Please don't. Please don't. Easy.
That's what I tell everyone that joins my class.
Yeah.
No eye contact, never fix a belt in someone's guard.
Can you explain what guard is?
So guard is basically if you're playing on your, if you're on your back and then you're working out your attacks with your limbs lah, but you basically have your back on the floor. Yeah.
While your legs are wrapped around
your
another
legs are
person.
either wrapped around somebody or you have your foot on somebody's hip, arm, leg, blah, blah, blah.
So you started going to these classes. Was it love at first roll? You know, what was
Definitely.
the deal? You fell in love with it
Definitely, yeah. I would safely say that it was one of those things where I tried and like
timestamp. So we know. No, it's fine. It's fine. We just need a timestamp. Go on.
Yeah. It was one of those things where you tried it out and then you're like I want to do this. Like I want to know more about this.
Yeah.
Because jiu-jitsu is so interesting because it's such an intellectual sport, ba.
Yeah. I think people don't realize that.
People don't realize that. People think it's just brute force, but the more you get into it, the more you realize it really is a mental chess game.
For sure.
But it is. It's about setting up traps. And it's about timing. It's about knowing how your body can move. The thing about jiu-jitsu is that it's not a one-size-fit-all template, ba.
Yeah.
Like your limbs could be longer than mine.
Yeah.
You could be more flexible than me.
For sure.
You know
Your
what I
engine
mean?
could be a bit bigger.
So you got to work with
what you have at the time.
what you have.
Yeah.
So like, especially when I teach classes, like I don't try to tell people to work off this textbook technique, you know? So I always tell people like, okay, for you, try it this way, try to tweak it this way. So jiu-jitsu becomes like your jiu-jitsu moves becomes a personal arsenal.
What happened after that, Eazy? So you started going to classes. When did you start getting into coaching?
So we had a couple so how I got into coaching jiu-jitsu was, of course, David had to go off for like holidays and eventually he finished his contract. He had to leave lah. So, but I was like, sayang je, like we can't just lose this jiu-jitsu thing going on, kan? So I took the prerogative to just say like, hey, I know I'm not that great at the back of my head yet.
Yet.
But I said, let's just try to keep this going. It was this book called Drill to Win. And then I read that book religiously. So I tried to understand what his concepts were. And then his way of training and stuff like that. So I wouldn't really call myself coach back then because I wouldn't really want to put a label on myself saying coach when I don't really know how to answer all the questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's more of like, just get people together and let's just train. So it sort of grew from there.
And was that when you just started because I feel the earliest memory I have was seeing you run a class at the dojo that must not be named. You know?
The dojo that shall not be named.
And I remember just seeing you guys do drills and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, wow, they're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I went there for a Muay Thai class with some of my colleagues and stuff like that. I did that for a while, but I stopped going because I felt like it was so unstructured.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I'm going to be honest. If I'm into something, I want to make sure that I'm on a efficient path. I'm on a structured path to sort of get better and progress. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I wish I got into jiu-jitsu instead, because you guys' classes look so structured. It looked so properly ran. And I think I took a few months going on YouTube and stuff like that, just looking at all the Gracie breakdowns,
right.
How to set up a triangle, how to pop someone off your, while they're on top of you, pinning you down, little things like that. And I think, it took me a while before I sort of reached out to Zion and I was like, yo, do you do PTs? And,
right.
And, that's how it happened. But, was that when you started coaching at the dojo that should not be named?
That was around that timeline. So from there we built a community lah. And then of course like the striking classes, I wouldn't say striking classes, I would just say Muay Thai classes. And Jiu-Jitsu were always happening at the same time. It was happening at that dojo. And then it sort of like bred some young fighters that wanted to compete. And then, of course, with MMA, it should not be a one-trick pony kind of thing.
For sure. So like you already had your boxing background.
I already had my boxing. And then we were still training boxing as well. Yes. And the boxing, this is also another one of those like, another kingdom of unexpected treasures. We found this guy called Omar Kosongo. If you look him up, he has his school now in Nigeria.
Okay.
So he was in Brunei because his wife was also a CFBT teacher.
Okay.
Right. So, and Coach Omar, he was competing for Nigeria for Commonwealth Olympics. That's crazy, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's crazy how you could actually have a Commonwealth athlete and an Olympian in Brunei.
Yeah.
And boxing. You know what I mean? So we reached out to him. So we did a lot of PTs, classes at his house and stuff like that. So the boxing training we got was very structured in a way of more macam for amateur boxing lah. It's more of like high volume punches. Yeah. It's not really for knockout.
Yeah.
And stuff
not
like
for
that.
traps.
Yeah,
not for
traps.
strategy.
Yeah, it's more of like macam contingent game boxing lah. So that's where I sort of like got more into box. That's where my boxing grew lah from Coach Omar.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what happened from there? What are some of I'm sure you were already competing then.
I was competing actively in jiu-jitsu and I was training everywhere. Like for me, like I wanted to head out of Brunei and train wherever I can. And then sort of like experience the standards abroad.
For sure.
And then for me, like once I get exposed to what standards are, and then I wanted to bring that back to Brunei.
Yeah. Give me 1 second, Eazy. I'm just gonna adjust your mic a little bit.
Sure.
So with the boxing, with the jiu-jitsu, with some of the striking in the dojo, did you feel like you were a mixed martial arts athlete?
I wouldn't label myself as that yet.
Okay.
Of course, the interest was there. Of course, like I wanted to compete. I had the aspirations to compete in MMA long ago, but my priority was more on coaching the guys who were ready to compete.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is where you and I differ, because I'm obviously someone who craves attention because of my daddy issues. But because for me, I'd be like, I'd like to sort of compete first, one, to sort of know that where I'm at, and also two, to prove to the people that I'm, like coaching that, hey, like
get coached from this guy because he's done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And obviously you have a different mindset than I did. Why was that? Why did you feel like you wanted to prioritize coaching over?
Because like back then it wasn't me that was hunting and fishing for competitions.
Okay.
Because I was still like competing a lot in jiu-jitsu and boxing. And then some of the guys wanted to compete in MMA, wanted to try it out. And of course, you don't want them to head out and be coachless.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more of like, it's got to step in anyway. So with the experience of training, I've gotten outside, and I mean, I trained MMA outside as well. So I
Like,
just sort of
where exactly?
Phuket, Singapore, and stuff like that. So I just sort of like decided more on coaching lah, because in a way, your boys would sort of like represent you and your community juga.
Yeah.
So in a way, I was living life vicariously through them lah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then back then pun like I had like a government job.
Okay. You were doing the 9 to 5.
I was doing the 9 to 5. But
Yaya's giving you that look.
So it wasn't easy to,
To train, to set time.
train, set time, head out over the weekend, ask for leave, you're restricted from all angles anyway. So yeah. So
What was the switch, or what was the thing that kicked you into gear to actually pursue competitions? Because I know I'm trying to lead into Vegas, and I'm also trying to lead into one thing. So yeah, like what was the trigger for you to take competing,
Or
seriously?
Jiu-Jitsu or MMA?
Well, let's do jiu-jitsu first, because I'm sure the people, some know, some don't. But you represented Brunei at one of the most prestigious jiu-jitsu competitions in the world.
I think it's only called Worlds. That's
Exactly. It's called Worlds.
It's called Worlds, no big deal. But yeah, I mean, it's just in some weird place called Las Vegas.
So how did that just blows my mind that you rep the flag at a place like that. So walk us through it.
Okay,
your coaching, your training.
So competing jiu-jitsu is just it gets addictive lah. It gets addictive because it's fun.
Yeah.
Competition aside, it's fun because you get to travel with your buddies, with your teammates. And then once you're there, you meet great people, you meet all these jiu-jitsu superstars. And then at the same time, you build networking.
Yeah.
I mean, my jiu-jitsu career, building networking, has helped me a lot with my current business.
Did you, because I know you were winning. You were winning medals upon medals. Your guys were winning medals upon medals. Did that surprise you at the level of athletes that we had in Brunei when you guys go overseas?
I think, it did surprise us initially because, and then it took us by surprise and made us realize that, hey, this is the beauty about individual sports bar. Because if you win or if you lose, you can only fix yourself. But if I take it back to rugby, when you're in a team of 15 people, you're only as strong as the weakest link.
For sure.
So if one guy is like really tuang, you know what I mean? Like then your whole team is tuang, dude. Like
it.
And you're just pointing fingers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then the coach would have such a headache, like trying to figure out what's going on, blah blah blah. But when it comes to individual sports, it's just so easy to fix, and you know what went wrong, and then you know yourself what went wrong. As a coach, it's easy to pinpoint what you did wrong, what you lost, what you were lacking, what you did great, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and then for us as Bruneians Jua, we wanted to prove to people that, out of 420,000 people and only a niche market does jiu-jitsu, we just wanted to prove that even though we're small, like we could really make an impact out there lah.
Great.
Yeah.
And from there, how did you get to Worlds?
So of course, like we wanted to hunt for bigger and bigger and bigger competitions lah, and then Fuzz, Noble from
Refinery
KB, Abi and myself. we said, hey, macam, next year, let's just go for it, let's just go for worlds lah, let's just put our mind into it and let's just go for worlds in Las Vegas. We're like, okay, let's just do it. Let's just freaking do it lah. So I think the build up to that was a good trip. I mean, the few months before that is good training. And
how does one qualify for worlds?
I mean, if you just sign up, bro.
Okay.
Just sign up, and then you get prelim fights, and then you work your way up to the finals, lah.
Wow.
So
you made it to the finals.
No, I made it to quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quarterfinals out of 64 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was surreal. It was surreal because you imagine saja ICC.
Yeah.
Imagine ICC. It's just filled with people with cauliflower ears and geese. But the beautiful thing was it's also a jiu-jitsu convention,
because then you get all the gear,
and then you get all these superstars. Leandro Lo, rest in peace.
all these people that you see on YouTube.
Yeah, they're all there, bro. Like you meet all these people that you only see on YouTube videos, on magazines, then they're right in front of your eyes.
How did it feel? Not only repping, your gym, but also like repping Brunei.
Of course, people are like, "Where are you from? Like, what flag is that on your chest?" And we're like, "We're Brunei, blah blah blah." And then like, of course, they're like, "Where is that?" And then,
2 hours from Singapore.
Do you know Borneo? No. You know Singapore? Yeah, 2 hours from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have oil. That's it.
Oh my gosh. And so you made it to quarterfinals. That must have been amazing. That must have been like, was that sort of good for you, or was it still like, oh, I wish I would?
Yeah, it was more like, oh man, I wish I could, be in the podium. I mean, like even going third, but then again, like I realized like, hey, like, from Brunei, dude, and to finish that, stacked of a category, winning some, losing once, I mean, you didn't lose anything lah, Macam, for me, yeah, I gained a lot. I found a new standard for competition lah. Yeah, so.
That's crazy, man. So
yeah, it was amazing, man. It was an amazing trip, really.
After that, how did you get into professional MMA?
Yeah, I mean, I've always gotten offers from, like I said, from the network I've built
through these competitions and stuff.
Yeah, through jiu-jitsu and all that. So I've always gotten offers. Oh, you want to fight for our show, blah blah blah. And there was always something that would stop me.
What?
Macam mainly work.
Oh, okay. Because you were still working with the government at the time.
It's mainly work, and then it doesn't align with my schedule. Sometimes I had to be on national duty for rugby.
Okay.
And yeah, but one day like everything the stars just aligned, and then I got an offer to fight for Ultimate Beatdown. Professionally.
What's Ultimate Beatdown?
It's a show from Johor, KK.
Yeah.
Mainly Malaysia lah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same show that put Adib Sulaiman on.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. Okay.
Yeah. So I got offered to fight as the main card. And then they started paying. And then I'm like, hey, macam, this is way better than all those medals at the gym. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so once they start paying you, like, oh,
what?
Right.
Are you okay to sort of share like what could someone potentially get as a main card?
Really
fighter?
Depends on how big the organization is. Macam for Ultimate Beatdown, obviously they paid in ringgits. It could be 4 figures. For one, they pay USD, still 4 figures. And then bonus is double. But it really depends where you fight lah. Like if you fight in Singapore, you get freaking taxed, yo.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're not Singaporean.
No, but still, like, and the company is registered under Singapore, kan?
Oh,
so
my
when the event was in
gosh.
Singapore, like, oh, you got to tax this, blah blah blah. So when the when the payment came through to your bank account, like, ada kurang lagi. But like when you fought in Japan, there was no tax. I'm like, hell yeah.
Wow.
So that was good lah.
How many professional fights have you had so far?
I had three professional fights.
That's one with Ultimate Beatdown?
And two with one.
How, like one FC, I feel, if people don't know, they're the Asian equivalent to the UFC.
They try to. They try to be.
Yeah. And how did that happen?
They were starting like a smaller sister show, and they were scouting for athletes lah.
Okay.
So they were actively scouting at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then she's got an email, got an offer, and then had a look at the contract, and then I mean it was more on excitement lah. So I took the contract more on excitement lah. So, yeah.
Do you know how you got that email? Was it from someone, or you just?
I mean, they were talking to the Awal, because they were also looking around at the people who trained in Brunei. So we were all within that circle lah. So they were saying like, oh, we want to offer you a contract, but we'll see how you go with your next fights and stuff like that. So then next thing you know, they offered a contract. But like I said, like these are the things that I wish to educate people more lah. Because sometimes you might react, you might take things upon your excitement saja ba. But you know, these are the things you got to be careful about lah.
Yeah. Reading that fine
we can
print.
get into that.
We got time. So what are some? Was there some mistakes that you made, or were there some things that you were already looking out to begin with? What was the deal?
I mean,
did you have someone that was sort of overlooking these contracts for you?
No, I was just myself.
Okay.
So these are the things like I wish I had known better. I mean, it's just things like how long is your contract go for? In the case of something happens, like for example, if COVID lah, you know, of course, like back then, no one knew what COVID was going to be like anyway. But in the case of something of that stature happens, what's going to happen to your contract? And then, like, okay, for example, your contract could say, oh, you have 6 fights, but it doesn't say how long you have to finish it. So you know what I mean?
So you could be tied in.
You could be tied in for years and years and this, and you can't fight for any other organization. That would suck, bro.
Wow.
And then, especially with one now, if you look at their
like agreements and stuff.
No, their rhythm and it's like not a lot of the guys that I met during our term when we were fighting there. So a lot of them are not fighting anymore. A lot of them are not getting fights.
Okay.
A lot of them have moved on to other organizations lah. Because if you watch now, it's only like you could say it's almost the same people fighting over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you tied in at the moment? Are you able to divulge?
I'm able to whatever I want right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Which makes me even a lot happier lah. Because now like I could just shop around. I'm basically a free agent.
Yeah.
You know?
And stuff like this, do you feel when you're shopping around, is it by, you know, obviously hard work is one thing, networking is another. It's also luck, right?
It is. It's also luck. It really depends on what you can offer for them. You know what I mean? It's a whole facade, persona, like what McGregor did, what Colby's doing, you know?
Just to be that
to
heel.
be that guy that's hated. People want to watch you lose anyway, but at the end of the day, they're purchasing tickets to watch you lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it really depends what you can offer. It really depends on your connections as well.
Yeah.
But in saying that, you got to really check the contracts, whether like how well are they going to take care of you? You know, when you go abroad, like if injuries, what's going to happen? Are they going to take care of you? Your insurance? Are they going to fly you in? Are they going to pay for your lodging? Are they going to give you per diem? You know, things like that you got to look out for lah.
Yeah. And that's just for you, not even for your team if they're coming in too, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's so crazy. Because I think everyone it's so easy to get caught up with the glitz, the glamour, the lights.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame people if they get caught up and they get too excited. Of course, who wouldn't be excited, right? You're being offered a good platform, but at the same time, like you want to, because you're also at the unknown of, you're not sure whether how far can you go with it.
Yeah.
You might think that you're able to handle it within that timeline.
Yeah.
But, after that, you outgrow into bigger things, lah.
Sure. You've gone through so much with competing in jiu-jitsu and in MMA, with all the training outside the country, with all the fights. What are some of your standout memories in this whole career that you've had so far?
Standout memories is quite a lot, but the standout memories would not be the fights, definitely.
No.
I mean, like, people would think, it's all about the fights. But, like, the fight is only like, 5 minutes a round. You go through 2 rounds, it's only like, 10 minutes. 10 minutes of your career. How's that?
That's true.
You know what I mean? People don't see that, but people only see like, you did this in the ring, you did that in the cage, blah, blah, blah. But what really stood out for me was the discovery of finding yourself in training camps.
Easy.
But it's true though.
What do you mean? Like, I know training camps that's when you get down and dirty. That's where all the hard work is done.
You'd have more lower days than higher days, bro.
Okay.
Banar. Especially if you might think you're top dog here in Brunei. You wait until you go abroad. You wait until you go abroad where you are insignificant.
Wow.
Right? And then that's when you find out like, hey, you got to really work for this. See, maybe you might be put in a high pedestal because maybe you're the coach of your gym. You might be the it guy. Tapi once you're abroad, you're nobody.
Yeah.
Right? You're nobody and you don't have your friends. You don't have your family. You're freaking alone, bro.
Wow.
Chubata. You're alone and you're at a gym full of killers. That is going to force you to float. If you don't swim, you're going to sink. Trust me.
One of my lowest moments in my career was when I went on a reality show.
Yeah.
And after a 3-minute performance, I was told that, you said you were a jack of all trades, master of none, and today you are not a master of magic. I remember going home, just breaking down and crying. And I remember calling up Tati, and I was like, I'm done. I'm over this. Did you ever have moments like that in training?
A lot.
How do you deal with it?
Same. That's why I had Fuzz. Like I would call her and tell her about how training went today. Like I broke my ear today.
Oh my gosh.
And like damn, like we got punished today. Like I remember like one of those in one of the camps, we got punished for an hour. It was like jogging in one spot, and then you're constantly being told off. And then you'd have to do burpees upon command for a whole hour, bro. For a whole hour. And then on top of that, you're being shouted in the ear because only a couple of guys messed up. And then when they went to compete, they messed up bad. So the whole team kind of la.
Wow.
And it got to a point where the coach was like, if you want to effing leave now, just leave, blah, blah. And people actually dropped out and left, bro.
It's so crazy because this was the exact thing that I think you didn't get in rugby. Like the whole team.
Yeah, exactly.
You go to training camp. It's like rugby all over again.
But I mean, those were the memorable moments because you start to realize that when you got through like those low moments, low sessions, those really heartbreaking moments in training, I thought that's what made you realize, hey, 5 minutes around is nothing, man.
Yeah.
I've been through worse in sparring training, makes you realize, it makes you discover yourself, hey, you're actually a lot stronger than this mentally.
Yeah.
It's not just about being physically strong, like you're mentally strong.
Yeah.
Because you've been through so much in training camp and then being away from your son, your wife, and then your community, family, and then you're left alone to fend for yourself, kan? So I think that's one of the things that I would always take home with me lah. Discovering that you're actually put in a situation where you're all alone. Like if you can get through that, apalagi with community support, right?
Yeah. I really do believe as well. I think great things are born from discomfort.
Exactly.
You got to really get uncomfortable.
Yeah, but that's where people break as well. Once they get uncomfortable, like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. But at least you know, right? At least you know.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, how did you have to deal with being away from family? I think a lot of people who are married, who have children, they're still trying to break out, you know, overseas, specifically me. You know, how did you do that? Because training camp isn't short.
Yeah, it isn't short. It's 6 to 9 weeks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, luckily enough, like Zach wasn't in year 1 yet back then. So actually pulled him out of school. And then he stayed with me for a couple of weeks. He went to school there. And
No, really?
Dude, yeah.
Wow.
So, and then Fuzz would come when she could get leave lah. So, I mean, it's a nice break to have your family there.
Yeah.
It recharges you in a way.
Okay. Do you think it helps that Fuzz is actively competing in Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, that's why she
well?
understands.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess with her, she understands what needs to be done and what sort of sacrifices needs to be done to reach the bigger goal.
For sure. Do you feel there's a potential for anyone, and yourself included, to make a living solely just doing MMA in Brunei?
Dum dum dum. Okay, there's a lot of thoughts into this. Okay, one person should also realize that you won't be doing MMA forever.
Yeah.
Right? And you also need to realize that injuries is a real thing. Okay?
Like someone's back today, lah, huh?
Like someone's back.
I don't know what to say. Who's back, lah?
Someone's back.
Easy, we don't have to say who.
Somebody. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, there are a lot of risks for you to end a career.
Yeah.
Right? So risks being injuries, and then organizations shutting down, or just the lack of belief that you can hang on to this because macam like our society, our community, we're so used to angat-angat tayo mo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hot honching poop.
Yeah, bro.
For our non-Malay speaking listeners, it's just sort of like a phase thing.
Yeah, it's a hype.
We're so quick on the hype. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that you can't make a living fighting forever. You won't. Okay? Let's face it. Age is inevitable lah.
Yeah.
It will creep up to you. But you can make a living out of what you have done when you were fighting. Yeah. So it's like what Floyd Mayweather said, you got to win within the wins lah. You know what I mean? So you got to really be smart in the sense that, okay, you've done your part. You're winning. You've gained a lot of social presence. You've built a name for yourself. Ride it. Make full use of it, because that is what is going to be for the long run. Endorsements,
appearances,
deals,
competitions.
Competitions, building a gym, building a brand, because you got to realize you won't be fighting forever, bro.
A lot of people, when they have a dream to sort of open up something, like, so for you, is to open up your own gym, Khalifa. I don't think they realize the amount of work that goes on into that.
Definitely not. Especially here in Brunei, it's the nasi kato effect. It's just a mushroom,
as soon as one MMA gym,
someone does it, everyone wants to do it.
Yeah.
And then people might have plans on doing it, but they don't want to try it out. They want to see someone else do it first.
Yeah.
And then see that they can sustain. And then they start opening up.
For For sure.
But people don't realize it's not just that. It's not having a physical space, putting your gym name on it, and then hoping for it to work on its own. It's not that.
It's also about vibes, right?
It is
vibes.
100%. It's about how you make your students, your community feel.
Yeah.
I mean, if they vibe in that place, I mean, they would stay.
Yeah.
And then you got to realize, Joe, what are you offering?
Yeah.
You know, so if you're insecure about what you're offering, it's not going to work.
At this point in your journey, when did you feel like you were confident to step away from your secure government job?
9 to 5, where I would be working until I was 60 to be free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like even when I was working 9 to 5, I was coaching on the side. So we were already sort of like building from there. And then
But at the time you were coaching under another dojo,
under
right?
a dojo that should not be named.
Got it.
So
Noted.
And then when we finally opened up Khalifa, we realized that it requires a lot of time being there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So when you opened Khalifa, you were still
I was
doing the
still
9 to 5.
working, bro. I was still working. I was still working. But at the time, you know, like competitions were rampant, you know, fights were rampant. So it was just a hectic and busy time lah. And then alhamdulillah, like the gym was doing good. And I said, just tawakkal and do it, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because it's just one of those things where let's just do it, you know, like, if
don't
not,
do it, you
I'm
won't
just
know,
going
right?
to regret it lah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I sent in my resignation lah.
Were there guidelines? So for me, I felt the same way. I felt the same way, right? Like before I sort of gave in my resignation, before I told my mom that I was gonna quit my job to be a magician, you know, I made sure I had a safety net. For me, it was a couple months of savings to sort of made sure that I had a buffer. I made sure I got extra gigs. I made sure I got extra slots on radio, extra slots coaching before I said, all right, I'm going to give this a shot. And also I gave myself a timeline. I said, I'm going to give myself 6 months. If this doesn't work out, at least I know I tried.
Yeah.
I've got my geomatics degree to fall back on. You know, I've got some, work experience and all that stuff. Was there ever a moment for you that said, okay, if I have this X amount of money, if I have X amount of members, if I have X amount of PTs, I'm comfortable to put my resignation in? What were the things that sort of gave you the signs like, yep, now's the time?
To be honest, like the first 7 to 8 months of operation, it was just overwhelming.
Okay.
It was really overwhelming.
Because as soon as you finished 5, you had to go straight to the gym and all that, or?
What I meant by overwhelming was the response from people.
Oh.
So the gym's income was stable for that first 7 to 8 months. So it was enough in the sense that if anything happens, we'd still be okay, you know. But it was a very daring move lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was something that I knew that if I had put in more hours into it, I'd be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only thing that was stopping me from putting in more hours was my 9 to 5.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So even back then, doing PTs wasn't really the goal.
Okay.
It was just to have running classes.
A space to call your own.
Yeah, a space to call my own.
A house for your community.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And then, you know, like with all the people that I met, that I've trained with, that I've trained back in the past, they all just sort of flocked in.
You've had a following, right? Obviously, because the same crew I saw you when you were from that other dojo are the same crew that I still see under your roof at Khalifa today. What was it like transitioning from being a coach to being a business owner? Because I had 2 different hats now.
Yeah, it's definitely two different hats. It's not an easy one. it's not an easy one in the sense that if you put it in the context of a coach, you just got to tell them this, got to tell them that, they're going to do it. You know, but when you're opening up business, you got to realize that you're dealing with other entities, you know, you got to deal with authorities, you got to deal with accounts, you got to deal with marketing, you got to deal with staff and all that. And so for me, it was a process that I was learning as I went. So, but for me, like, as long as I don't owe anybody, then I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're at ease.
Yeah, I'm at ease. You know, as long as like people are taken care of, then we're good.
Yeah. Now, as a first-time business owner, as someone who's rolling with the punches, see what I did there. But you know, what are some speed bumps along the way, or what were some things that you wish you knew starting out as a business owner?
I wish like there was more like public service announcements, man. Like, oh, okay, for example, like if you want to open up a restaurant, this is what you should do. Yeah. This is what you should have. You know, it's hard because like a lot of people who open up vicinities, they really don't know, because sometimes when you apply for example, you apply for your company name, you're not being told the prerequisite. Say if you want to open up a gym, you need this, you need that license, you need to have this approval. You're not being told that, you know. So of course, as a first-time business owner, you're like, okay, I have a company name, I'm legit, and then I want to have a spot. You know, that's just in between me and the landlord. Yeah, you know, but you know, and then you'd find out maybe 5 years down the line, like, oh, you're lacking this, you're lacking that, blah, 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 you know? So I guess it's a thing here. Sometimes you just want to channel a lot of that authoritative energy into one thing, but you also neglect other things that really matter, like block drainages, you know.
Block, what was that?
Like block drainage, you know. It's rainy season right now. There's floods going on everywhere, you know. Like channel your energy there, lah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that, bro.
What's the community like? You know, because obviously, when you're a business owner, there's obviously a community of similar business owners who run MMA gyms and stuff like that. Is there I mean, sure, you want to help everyone out, but at the same time, I'm also like, hey, I got to look out for myself here. What's the deal, I mean, like?
Because we spoke about this before, you know, like I remember we had this conversation ages ago. You know, like as much as you're driven by passion, as much as you want to do it for the love of it, but does love really pay you? You know?
At the end of the day, you
got to put food on the table, right? So, and then, yeah, I just want to thank you as well, because I remember we had this conversation and you were like, are they really paying you for what you're worth? You know what I mean? Like,
sure, my guy.
Right? So, I mean, you really want to build a community, because for people like you and me, you really want to see this grow in Brunei, because we don't want to be left out as a nation.
Yeah.
Initially, when we started out, it was just that. Yeah. It was just passion. It was just, look, we want to be put on the map somewhere. You know?
We have so much potential.
We have so much potential if we're guided the right way. Yeah. But again, you want to do all these things pro bono, and then what's left for you at the end of the road?
I mean, I love the taste of exposure in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself as well. But the transition might be hard, because once you want to put a price onto things, people will be like, "Hey, kenapa you want to charge? How come you want to charge now? Yeah. How come you want to put a price on it now? Before this, you did it for free." But you know, if say you make it big, are you gonna look back and look at me? Yeah. You know, like, what if I get left behind? Yeah. But this is why I feel, as well as the coaches back in the day, like that's why they are who they are, and they are the way they are now, is because of this. Yeah. They were just not treated right. Yeah. You know, because they're just left in the bleachers.
Fair enough,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, bro.
Fair enough. How do you do it, man? You know, you're a dad, you're a husband, you're a business owner, you're a coach, I'm sure you still want to compete. How do you balance it all with the training, with the recovery, with the coaching, with the programming, all that stuff? How do you, with downtime?
Oh, it's just, you gotta like schedule everything, dude.
Yeah.
Like you gotta make it a point, like especially with the recovery, especially as you're aging now, especially with the nature of sport or nature of business you're in. You gotta realize that if you can't work, you don't earn anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a 9 to 5 where you could take an MC or work from home and you still get paid at the end of the day. This one you gotta hustle day in, day out.
Yeah.
You know? But at least you're doing something that you love, lah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just gotta really schedule everything in. And then Fuzz, like she would get so pissed off like if I don't schedule in a massage or she's like, what the hell are you doing? You know it's important to you.
Does your Google Calendar look like a rojak?
Yeah, it's pretty much rojak, man.
Yeah.
But no, like I've been doing this for so long that it's a set schedule.
Yeah.
Like Sundays definitely it's massage, and then Wednesday nights just deep tissue massage, weekly diligently lah. And then you just gotta balance it out. I mean, for me with Zach growing up, gotta make it a point to like send him to school, pick him up, and then hang out a bit, you know.
Listen to his Minecraft songs that he's writing on mirrors at the gym.
His antics, his teasing, but you just gotta be there and just be present lah, basically.
Does the guilt ever kick in where you feel like you're not spending enough? Because I know I go through that sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like my schedule's a little crazy.
Definitely, but you know sometimes that's why you tend to be selfish, but this is a very gray matter being selfish in it. It's because like you get so much guilt throughout the week, you're not spending enough time together, and then Sunday is the only time you could have as a family, kan? But then again, Sunday is the only day he doesn't go to school. He should be going swimming. He should be doing this activity, that activity. But then again, you want to be selfish. Like, no, I want to have you in front of the TV on the sofa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard lah. That's one thing like we still can't really figure out. You know, like do we want to send him swimming or you want to sleep in a bit more? You know?
Sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I get it, man. I get it. Because there's some days where I want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
But I also want to sort of...
yeah, you know, like I don't want to retard you from like your other activities jua.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess right now having one child is enough lah for us for now.
For sure.
I mean, because it's just a lot of things to balance.
For sure.
You know? And kids aren't cheap anyway.
Oh my gosh. Like insurance?
Yeah, insurance.
School?
Activities, school. But yeah, I mean, you also need to find something else to divert your interests. You got to find another hobby.
What's that for you? I'm going to pretend like I don't know Eazy for the sake of conversation. You know, what is that to you?
Well, right now it's just fixing, you know, vintage cars.
Let's be specific. Okay. You have a type. There's not just one type of vintage car.
Yeah, it's about now. It's just, you know, trying to fix like old BMWs, trying to get it back to pristine condition. Yeah. You know, it just
stock. Yeah,
I mean, it just diverts your mind somewhere else. You know, like if you just you love what you do, you love this whole MMA thing, but at the end of the day, if that's all that if you're gonna put all your chips in there, like you're just gonna burn out, you know? You gotta find something that sort of like
that's just you.
Yeah, sparks your interest. It could be anything really.
I'm just gonna put it out there. You're one of the racun in my life, the poison in my life that actually got me to pick up my Mazda a couple months ago. You guys have no idea how many times I've DM'd Eazy, I've messaged Eazy like, hey, what do you think of this deal? Good deal or no? Good deal or no? You know, I actually brought Eazy to check out my Mazda together and be like, you think it's okay, Eazy? I've never driven stick since I was 18. You know, you got to test the car for me and all that stuff. What is it about fixing cars that spark your interest? Because for me, I sort of dig deep. I said this as a joke, but I think it was a bit of a wake up call for me. And they're like, wow, like, because I've got a used Harley that I fixed up. I got a used, Mazda that I fixed up. I like looking for all these like retro things that I could fix up as well. And someone was like, why are you so into fixing things up? And I'm like, because broken people fix broken things. It gives me, as a joke, I said, it gives me the illusion of control that I can fix or restore something that is broken. I said it as a joke, but I think when I got home, I'm that meme that was just sitting at the table like, oh my gosh, a realization.
I'm that guy.
So what is it about fixing vintage cars you think that...
Well, for me, it's quite the opposite pulang. Because like growing up, if people don't know, like I'm the only child.
Okay.
No, but growing
that
up
explains
things. Now it makes sense. But anyway, growing up, like my dad was into cars.
Yeah.
So he would always like fix the cars at home, and then like I would be out there with him, like servicing the car. So for me, it was something just sort of like entrenched in me. Like growing up, we would always have like opinions with each other. Like, would this look good? Would this fit right? He wants to fix this. He wants to fix that. So he was changing cars back then. And then when I was 18, got my first car. My dad bought me my first car, and then got into that. And then when I got my job, started getting into bikes, bought like 3 bikes.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Someone told me you were looking for a Dyna and KB the other day.
I guess when I finish all my projects then maybe.
For sure.
But yeah, I was riding for a bit. I started off with an XJR 1300. Then had a Z1000.
I love how that was your starter bike.
I know, right?
It was
like, okay, 1300
monster.
Straight away. And then my last bike was an R1, and then sold that off. And I told myself, I'm done, Cars are such a money pit. It's such a money pit. But then, like, now, after the business, after the career, I wouldn't say after the career, but I mean, like, now, at this
point in your life.
Point in my life, I'm like, hey, like, if we can fix it, like, if my buddies can help me fix it, then it's more of what do you call this? Therapy for me. I'm not really spending that much.
That's like the worst. That was the worst lie anyone fixing cars could ever say.
Yeah, but what I mean, like, we're not like, okay, you're gonna have to send it here, you gotta send it there. If for the most parts, if you could do it yourself, you do it yourself. You know what I mean? So that's therapeutic for me. Yeah. So I take my Mondays off from work. So I spend that after I send Zach to school. So try to figure things out with my homies, and then they would help me out, and they would help fix the car and stuff like that lah. So now it's more of like therapy, and then being satisfied lah to see like something that's 30 years old, 35 years old, still
like new.
Yeah, like new. Yeah. So, and because like when you talk about like, well, I wouldn't say BMWs in general, but any like luxury cars back in the day. You grew up thinking like, whoa, what would it feel like to own one of those? Back then you'd never think that you'd be able to afford it, kan? So now like they go cheap lah now, of course, right? So now you're basically just trying to relive your childhood lah.
What does success look like to you? Because I know, you and I grew up, idolizing Tupac. They were driving all the BMWs back in the day as well. That's there was a line that you said just now. Nas said, going from a Seiko to a Rolex. I really feel, because I didn't grow up well off,
Yeah, same.
So for me to finally have a little bit of money that I can spend on myself a little bit, getting the things that I couldn't afford growing up, seeing all my, rich friends afford it and stuff like that. What does success, in that sense look like to you?
Well, in all honesty, like success to me is not so much on material things. Those are just bonuses for me lah.
Yeah.
Material things are, just bonuses. They're just tokens. They're just reminders. They're just little gifts that you that you gift yourself for reaching a milestone in your life. But ultimately, success for me is really being able to do what you want with your day.
Yeah.
You know, like
Hang out when you want to hang out.
hang out when you want to hang out.
Fly off when you want to fly off.
Yeah, fly off when you want to fly off, and then not really have to answer to anyone lah. I mean,
Sure.
like you don't need to tell your boss like, I'm gonna take the day off. Like, can I? Or have that guilt trip. Or my colleague's gonna, is gonna make noise because he has to cover for me and stuff like that. It's more of
Freedom.
because freedom doesn't really have a price. So that's the ultimate luxury, really, for me.
What a line. Freedom doesn't have
it?
that's a soundbite right there. That's gonna be the teaser.
Yeah, but it's true though. Like, people need to realize, because I remember like a month or two ago, I was just dealing with some government office, and then I saw this lady, and then she could barely walk, and then she was trying to open up the door for me, and I was like, damn, like that could be me. Let's face it, like now we got to work until we're 60, right?
Yeah.
My 58, you're 58, you're 58, you're 58. We're not in the same physical form, bah.
Everyone's gonna be different.
Yeah, one could be like really fit at 58.
Yeah.
The other one could be frail at 58.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're going to be working all the way until you're 60 just to be free. Think about that, you know what I mean? But,
yeah.
I'm not taking it away from
People who actually
anyone
do it,
who works at a 9 to 5. Yes, there's obviously security. You're set until you're 60.
Yeah.
But then again, I guess it just comes down to what are your choices lah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I don't want to be that guy that, had to devote all my time just to be free when I'm 60.
I get it, man. I get it. So after all these years of coaching, competing, all that stuff, you're obviously the MMA guy.
Oh.
Everyone knows you as Eazy Mana, Eazy MMA, Eazy Jiu-Jitsu. You are, you're the face of Khalifa. You are, all that. Do you ever still suffer from, like some form of imposter syndrome, or do you feel insecure, or do you feel pressured trying to live up to the hype,
Well, probably some days I do, but for most parts, it doesn't go to a point where it consumes me, because at the end of the day, like I'm not insecure. Okay. I'm not insecure of what I've done and what I've created. Like, I'm confident that way because I know what I can put on the table, bah. And I know what sort of values I can instill in you. So when someone tells me, aren't you afraid that someone else opens up a gym nearby your area? And I always tell them, like, I'm not insecure. Like, I do me, if they want to do whatever, it's okay. Like, I'm pretty confident with what I can do. And I know what I am. And I have no regrets with how I've created my career. Because at the end of the day, like, I know I'm here for a reason. Yeah. Because I know what my goals are. I know what my long-term vision is, and I'm still sticking to it.
For sure. So to sort of give you a little confidence, Eazy, I've got a bit of a surprise for you.
What? You didn't tell me about this part.
Yeah. So this is something that I'm hoping to surprise all my guests with. Is I decided to reach out to people in your circle, because I feel like being in this line of work that we are in, there are days where sometimes it feels like, am I really, making a difference here? Am I, should I really be pursuing this? So I reached out to some of the people in your circle and asked them how you've impacted them with what you do. So
I've never heard anyone.
The first one is from one of your coaches, and I think one of your longtime training partners, Zayam. So here's what he had to say about.
Hello. So Eazy. So quite a stand-up guy. Serious during training. Pretty chill outside training. So I met the guy back in 2010 because of Jiu-Jitsu. What's funny is I didn't know I was gonna stick to it, and next thing I know, that was pretty much my lifestyle. Next thing I know, I'm traveling with this guy for training, for competitions. I mean, this guy showed me a lifestyle that instead of go lepak malam, minum teh tarik at TK and smoking, I can actually put my time in the gym, sharpen my craft, compete and collect medals, which is far more better and far more healthy, So all in all, I just want to say thank you. I'm quite thankful I met this guy and the team, and like what we have there at Khalifa. We have a very strong bond with the guys there. Amazing community, amazing circle. So yeah, that's been pretty much my life ever since. Thank you.
You get the little kisses at the end, and it's so crazy to sort of see, someone. The fact that you have shifted someone from I could be hanging out at TK right now, smoking and all that stuff, to I could be in the gym. How was that always a goal of yours? What?
Well, back then it wasn't.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it wasn't. It wasn't really a goal to be changing people's lives.
Are you surprised that you've been able to change people's lives?
I mean, now hearing it from a third person's perspective, yeah. I mean, like no one's gonna compliment you like that face to face,
For sure.
right? But yeah, I mean that was.
So then,
There's more.
I decided to reach out to one of your clients, someone that's trained under you for a while. And not only does he have some great things to say about you, and how you
bad things too.
but he also wrote you a poem.
Huh? Poem.
This is the chief, Fizzy Haslin.
Ooh.
He has got this to say.
So I've known Eazy for about 10 years now, and this goes back to our good old rugby days.
Yeah.
I mean, Eazy's a straight-up champ on and off the mats or field or whatever arena he's in. Great guy to talk to and very wise too. He's a leader, that's for sure. Practices what he preaches, walks the talk, balls of steel.
Ooh.
He's made a lot of bold moves that many won't even dream of doing. Yeah, that's him. Eazy, if you're listening, here's a short poem for you. 15th October 2018 was when I first turned white. It's been a long journey since that one Monday night. Eazy Anwar, head coach of Khalifa, nothing bad to say, can't find anyone tougher. Gi or no gi, it doesn't matter. Going up against a headlock master. Now I am blue, and I used to be white. Can't wait to get smashed on Wednesday night. Talk soon.
God damn this guy. Hey, get well soon, Fizzy. I heard you caught the bug, so get well soon. I hope that flu doesn't
Get you down.
Doesn't get you down too hard, man.
What does it feel like to be called a leader in something? To be called
I'm flattered. But at the same time, I know that's my purpose here.
Yeah.
I mean, it still gets flattering now, but I always try to keep myself grounded and remind myself that's why I've been put in this position lah. Because like I said, that's the long-term goal. Like I want to open up the avenue, open up the doors for people to realize that, hey, if you got a craft that you're really good at, pursue it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're just forever gonna live your life wondering, what if you actually did this? What if you did that?
That question, what if, my guy? So we got one last one.
There's another one. Huh?
Someone who I feel it sounds like you've made such a big impact on his life. It's from, I think, your colleague and your relative, Adielmi.
Oh.
So here's what he had to say about you.
Eazy, my cousin, my brother, my coach. Without him, I don't think I'd be here right now. And I don't think I'd be on the path that I'm on right now. So basically, Eazy was one of the people that has saved my life. And I'm pretty sure that he's inspired many other people out there besides me. And I know that he's probably saved more lives too. And many other people's lives out there. So basically, I'm forever grateful. And I'm very sure other people out there are forever grateful for Eazy. So thank you, my brother. And I love you.
Ooh, that one.
Sound like you had got you in the field.
Sometimes something pierced me.
So, I mean, like it's so crazy to sort of see the impact that you have. Because I know you've had an impact on me. Like I know who you are as a person and what you do, but to hear something like this, has that ever sort of crossed your mind? How much of an impact you've made in other people's lives?
Well, I didn't think it would be to that extent. So I mean, I thought it was more of just shifting their priorities and goals. You know, like you want to pursue something, you can pursue it, but I didn't think it would be up to a level where it was more.
Serious.
So I don't know how to put it into words now. But you get me.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I think if there are ever days where I know that you're confident in what you do and what you're doing, but if there are ever any moments in time, like this is the moment that I want to leave you with. This is the sort of moment that I wanted to share with like the guests on the podcast, the people that I pull on this show. Like you are making a difference. You are breaking down barriers and all that stuff. So I just want you, I wanted to sort of share this moment with you. And
thanks, Naz. I mean,
no problem.
That was a moment. That was a lot to take in.
For sure, my guy. I get it. So, we're at the sort of tail end of the podcast. I want to pivot a little bit. What's next for you, man? What's next for Khalifa? What's next for you? What is next in your life?
For me, as Eazy Anwar, like I'm still competing, dude. Like, if
that's right.
If there's an opportunity to compete, I'm still competing. I still have a lot of fight in me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not letting this whole overused idea of age is gonna slow you down. I mean, heck, like if you want to feel that way, be my guest, but it's not gonna slow me down. I mean, if you still feel like you have a lot of drive, a lot of fight in you, just go for it. You know? I mean, Glover Teixeira only became champion at 42.
So crazy, right?
Right?
Oh,
UFC, bro.
Gosh, that knockout though.
Right? So, yeah, for me, it's just, if I could compete more, I would. But whatever happens is just being able to stick to the vision, for Khalifa to grow and then put that vision into fruition for Khalifa, which is to be opening up doors to the future generation. Khalifa Promotions maybe.
Yeah, hey, who knows, man?
That's one of the things in the pipeline as well. So it's to be able to give an opportunity to us local Bruneians to be put on the world stage.
Yeah.
Because during our time, that's what we were lacking.
Yeah.
Just the opportunity to do so.
I feel like you're already moving in the right direction because you've got young guns in your team right now who are bagging gold medals, podium finishes overseas and stuff like that. So, I think it's inevitable that it's
a process, so you just got to trust it. You just got to stick to it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you just got to hang on to it, because like I said, there will always be dark days. And those days will either make or break you.
Yeah.
So it's a filtering process. Really.
Yeah. So my ultimate goal with this podcast is, because I'm bringing on guests like you who have so much experience to share and to teach and to impart on everyone. I want this to be a database for people 10, 20, 30 years from now who are trying to pursue the passion, who are trying to chase the hustle, who are trying to start something. What is one advice or one tip that you could leave these people with that they could take with them?
For me, one, you gotta put your head down. You just gotta really discover why you're doing it, and then once you find that out, you really gotta believe. You gotta really believe your reason, and from there you just gotta stick to it because it's so easy to give up. Like I said, the hurdles are gonna come. It's the hard days are gonna come. So it's about believing that you'll make it. You just gotta exactly like you just gotta keep on going. You gotta basically can't give up lah. I mean, it's such a cliche, but it's not so easy to live by, the fact of not giving up. I mean, we've also had times where like, how long are we gonna do this for? And then, but once you start to revert back to what your bigger goals are, it sort of reminds you why you're here. Yeah. So I mean, with the hustle and everything, you just gotta keep on going. You just gotta make it fun, really. Yeah.
My guy, that is it.
Nazri,
thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, my bro.
No problem. Anytime, man. Anytime. Thank you so much. That's it, brother. We're done.